Hey, this is Gin Dumcius with MassLive.com. I'm here in Boston outside Suffolk Superior Courthouse. I've been covering the Bella Bond murder trial for the last couple of days. Rachelle Bond, the mother of baby Bella Bond, finished testifying a short while ago up there in room 906. We've moved on to the testimony of the father of Bella Bond. And I'm just going to zoom out for a quick bit here, talk about the case for those who might be just joining, and feel free to ask comments or make comments or ask questions. Please be respectful, is all I ask. So to talk about the case here, in June 2015, the body of Bella Bond, 2 years old, washed up on Deer Island in Winthrop, Boston Harbor area there, and that launched a nationwide search for her identity and the identity of the people who put her in the trash bag there that washed up. Oops, sorry, we got a truck coming in here. The Suffolk Superior Courthouse area out here is very active. So she was known as Baby-Doe for several months. Until there was a break in the case, September 2015. Michael Sprinsky went to a probation officer, told them he knew what had happened to Bella Bond, and shortly thereafter, Michael McCarthy, the ex-boyfriend of Rachelle Bond, the mother, he was arrested, charged with first-degree murder, and Rachelle Bond was charged with being an accessory after the fact, and also taking public benefits, housing benefits that were contingent on her having a child with her. And she told housing officials that she had a child even after Bella's death. So Rachelle has just wrapped up a couple of days on the stand. Depending on how you look at it, real brutal couple of days. She's the prosecution's key witness. She started on Friday, and they took her through her version of events. She alleges that Michael McCarthy, he's pleaded not guilty, by the way, to the charges. His attorney says that Rachelle Bond, the mother, committed the murder. But according to Rachelle Bond, her boyfriend at the time, McCarthy, punched her daughter in the stomach and killed her, and then kept her scared and drugged over the course of several months. Her details about exactly how they disposed of the body have been hazy. That's one of the key things that came out of this was, I think for those of you who have been following along on the case, from the beginning, Rachelle Bond told police that after McCarthy allegedly killed her daughter, he put her in a refrigerator, and that did not come up while the prosecution was interviewing her on Friday or early Monday. And the defense team, McCarthy's defense team, pointed out, why didn't that come up? And she now says that she's not sure exactly what happened, or that she didn't see McCarthy put her daughter in the fridge. And again, for those just joining us, I'm Gin Dumcius. I'm with MassLive.com. I'm outside Suffolk Superior Courthouse, where the murder trial of Bella Bond has been going on. Michael McCarthy has been charged, and he has pleaded not guilty. Rachelle Bond just finished up a couple of days on the stand there, and again, the defense team has been picking apart her testimony, looking for inconsistencies. The fridge, the aforementioned fridge, is one thing. She told police that happened, and then on the stand she said, sorry, there's some bicyclists or bikers in this plaza here. She told them that she told the police that her daughter got stuffed in a fridge, and then on the stand she said, well, I didn't see that happen, and the other things that the defense team has kind of picked apart is that whether the light was on when she went into the bedroom to see what was going on with Bella and McCarthy. Was the light on? Was the light off? And she had flip-flopped on that. And then the other thing was she told police that McCarthy allegedly put Bella Bond's body in the trunk of his car as they went to dispose of the body and put it in the waters off South Boston, the Boston neighborhood. And then she said, so she testified in court that she actually saw Bella's body in a duffel bag in the back of the car. So the defense team is picking apart, saying like, well, you told the police it was in the trunk, now you're saying it was in the back seat. So things like that, and Rachelle Bond's defense in that has been that, well, she was drugged up. She said that McCarthy was injecting her with heroin, and she was very, very scared. And she was afraid for her life. She said, she felt he was tracking her, or he said that he had friends who could track her down if she escaped. And so she said she was afraid for her life, and she said, I take responsibility for not telling the authorities about the death of my child this is between now June through mid-September. And that's something that the jury is going to have to evaluate. Now, as part of her plea deal here, she's pleaded guilty to being charged to accessory after the fact. As part of that, she's agreed to testify against McCarthy, and that came up. Of course, the defense team brought it up, and she is the way it's going to work is that if her testimony is truthful, then she may be able to walk out of the courtroom after the trial is over, after the jury verdict is rendered, regardless of what it is, and because she will be getting time served and 2 years of probation, and that means. And that's because she's been in jail since September 2015. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm Gin Dumcius, MassLive.com. Feel free to weigh in the comments here. I've been covering the Bella Bond murder case for the last couple of days. It's been a brutal couple of days. I think all of us reporters kind of agree on that. It's been a pretty rough trial. I don't cover a lot of murder trials, and this has certainly been a tough one to come to every day. Somebody is asking here, Nancy's asking, is Joe Amoroso still on this afternoon? No, they've broken for the day. They've taken an early day, and they're back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow's going to be a full day. There's been some shuffling of the schedule. So Joseph Amoroso, who's the father, again, of Bella Bond, biological father, he is going to be back on the stand tomorrow. In any case, for the last couple of days, Rachelle Bond has been on the stand, and it's been a pretty intense couple of days. She described the night that Bella Bond died in quite a bit of detail. And again, defense attorney has been picking apart what her testimony is, her tearful testimony in many instances. And it's been tough to watch and tough to sit through. So as I was saying, she is going to be leaving jail after the verdict of this. Of course, the judge, I think, as the prosecutor pointed out, the judge is the ultimate authority here in terms of what she gets. I believe the maximum for being an accessory after the fact is about 17 years, and then for stealing public benefits, that's about 10 years. And another question from Nancy, real or fake tears? I mean, that'll be up to the jury to decide whether they believe her. And the judge said she told the jury that this is Judge Janice Sanders. You can look at the plea deal and take that into consideration. And I think a lot of what this trial is going to come down to is whose story do you believe? Is it going to be the mothers here, Rachelle Bond or Michael McCarthy's, and they both blame each other. They both say that they were in this haze of drugs. Both of them pretty hardcore drug addicts, and it's each blames the other. Each one accuses the other of believing in some demonology, Satanism, or having an interest in that kind of thing. So that's been an element in this trial too, just adding to the intensity. I mean, it's already intense. We're talking about a dead child here, and trying to figure out exactly how she died, and add that into this toxic mix of the defendants believing government conspiracies and reptilian demons. It's been no shortage of headlines coming out of this every day, and I think it was the coverage was so intense at one point that Rachelle Bond, before she pleaded guilty, I think her attorney had made a pitch to get this trial, her trial, moved out to Western Mass, because she said the intensity of the coverage. This is, I believe, been covered in the New Yorker and elsewhere, the Daily Beast. This is a national story in many respects, it's going to go on for I think another week or so. We're going to hear from expert witnesses, from law enforcement. So far, again, it's been Rachelle Bond, the mother, and today the father started, Joseph Amoroso, and we're gonna keep proceeding from there. I hope you're following along on MassLive.com. We've got a lot of trial coverage. I know Dan Glon's been covering the Michelle Carter case, and that's been just as fascinating. And again, feel free to weigh in, ask questions. This is behind me is Suffolk Superior Court, actually, and then if you look over here, there's an array of television. Was advanced there. They've been covering this too. Some of the stations have been live streaming the coverage here, and if like I said, it's tough stuff. We're dealing with. We're seeing the opioid crisis play out among this group of people. The father, the mother, the ex-boyfriend who stands accused of the murder and has pleaded not guilty. The tipster too, Michael Sprinsky, and he took the stand, I believe last week, and he talked about exactly, his struggles with addiction as well. Another question from Nancy is Michael McCarthy going to testify? That is a good question. I think the defense team would say, well, you never know, but the defense team's job is to inject reasonable doubt, right? To promote their narrative of what they believe happened that night. That they believe McCarthy doesn't have anything to do with the murder. And he was under the impression that Bella was taken away by the State Department of Children and Families, and Rachelle had two previous children taken away by the state. She lost custody of them in the 2000s, I believe, and so the defense team is saying, well, Michael McCarthy believed the state took away Bella too, and that's why. They stayed together for a couple of months. They acted like they were a couple. I think it's been introduced into evidence that they both exchanged a lot of text messages, saying "love you." Rachelle Bond called Michael McCarthy her soulmate. This is after Bella's death. She called him her soulmate and all sorts of other. I believe she referred to him as her husband at one point. They're not legally married, but to answer, sorry, that's a long way of answering your question, Nancy. It's is Michael McCarthy going to testify? Unclear, but probably unlikely. And a lot lot of comments I'm seeing too about just kind of what should happen to either of them. Again, that's up to the jury to decide. You know, if they do choose to acquit or let Michael McCarthy go free, you know, it's going to be fascinating to see if that actually happens, and what are the ramifications of that move. So I want to thank you guys for following me along here. I'm going to be back on Facebook Live during this trial. Obviously, keeping an eye out. Joseph Amoroso back again tomorrow. We're going to hear from some expert witnesses as well. Most importantly, follow along on MassLive.com for further coverage, and feel free to hit me up with any questions via email. My email's on my stories. Always happy to get reader responses. And thanks for listening, and talk to you soon.